Hi, welcome. In this video, this is part 5 of my response breakdown by way again of Bill Church, Larry Krohn, and trainer Joel here. Again, through the series, Larry Krohn does most of the talking. Again, talk about the ongoing controversy that just erupted by way of the International Association of Canine Professionals over the role of punishment. But then again, the video put out by the president, which again triggered off Dylan Jones to call him out. And so now you're seeing all these trainers, all this happening. But again, just another controversy. Again, I talk about why this stuff's all happening. These trainers playing both sides of the fence, exploring certain relationship dynamics. And so again, I'm going to continue to play some of this as I respond to the various talking points being put out by these trainers.
I've only gotten one answer. They say, we see how the dogs look with you. It's that simple.
So here you have Krohn right away talking about why he's so successful, or why people go to him. And here he's saying about, because how the dogs look with you. Now, this is a cautionary tale. Okay, I talk about certain relationship dynamics in terms of, of a counterfeit picture. I talk about how dogs can look a certain way and not be. I talk about the issue about response itself, and the issue about control, how control will offer up a appearance of a happy, balanced dog. That's why dogs will look happy and bite somebody. But even in terms of how these trainers are engaging relationship problems, I talk about these themes of bribery, accommodation, negotiation, which Krohn, okay, advocates training as a learning-based exercise. I put out several videos about how his confused narratives, rewarding bad behavior to create good behavior. That's one of them. But again, I talk about this whole thing about appearances. Again, I offer up the example of this whole bad behavior to create good behavior. It's like, dealing with a relationship problem with a selfish child, mouthing off, and the rewarding, we talk about using, a moment, or using a treat, right? A moment of what appears to be calm and rewarding that moment. Or just like, a child mouthing off, you pull a chocolate bar out of your back pocket and just, hold it out, and the child's focus changes. All right. They stop mouthing off in the moment based on something that they want, right? And trying to package that moment up as though that's something you're going to work off. Okay, it's ridiculous. But that's what these traders are doing. There's this confusion about, focus, about using motivating agents, even about using the bite suit that's brought up in this conversation about allowing a dog to express control that way. Very bad idea, because again, it lends into this whole thing about a fake picture. Okay, that's why people get blindsided all the time. And then this whole thing about right here's talking about, well, how dogs look with him. But the question to ask, well, what does that mean exactly? Working off of appearances. Does that represent that the relationship's actually gotten better? Especially these trainers aren't even establishing, what defines perceptions changing within the framework of response itself. I talk about the criteria, influence and control, revealing, right? But that's not how these trainers operate. Understand that's not their foundation. So anything they say about, how things look or whatever, I understand they're playing off of appearances.
That's what people care about. They want the results, but they also don't want a dog flattened to a fucking place board looking like it's going to commit suicide.
See, and this is the Zach George narrative, right? Flatten, right, to a place board looking like the dog's going to commit suicide. See, this is a type of inflammatory rhetoric. Now, that's not to say, again, just like if you watch the series I did by way of Larry Krohn, how he arrived as a balanced trainer, talking about, being in the middle of, remote collars not being used. Okay, they're being used as a pivot point, but these dogs like screaming. Of course, there's all sorts of bad examples out there of, things not aligning, right? But to take it to that level where you're saying, well, he's trying to package this up, in spite of the problems. I talk about counterfeit picture, how common it is. Well, there's a real kind of dishonest part of this whole narrative here, where these trainers aren't wanting to admit that just how common it is for this picture that they're painting doesn't line up. Okay, understand that. So, they use certain language like that. They're playing off of what exactly? Right? They're virtue signaling, right? They're trying to build up their approach when their own approach has so many holes in it you could drive a transport truck through it. Again, based again on how they're defining a process. And again, talk about how they're setting a picture in motion that way, using motivating agents. They bring negative in, understand that, it's still working off of this superficial idea. So lots of times it's not changing perception of dogs. Okay, that you might get a response doesn't mean that you're getting a better relationship. Understand there's a difference, because again, those core ingredients, they have to be reconciled. There's only one way that happens. Talk about that in a very specific way through a intentional interaction based approach that speaks the right language.
You
Yeah,
understand
because
what I'm saying?
they love it. And Joel, thank you so much. Joel's got to run, Lair. So we're going to say goodbye to Joel. Thank you for joining us today.
You guys, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Talk to you tomorrow, Joel, okay?
You got to take care, guys.
Take your Metamucil and put your diaper on before bed. Don't do that shit to Michelle anymore, okay?
You got it. Always, Larry.
He's got it on now.
See you, Joel.
See you.
Take care, guys. Take care, guys.
Well, and the thing too, Larry, is just
Well, here's the thing. Joel did very little talking here. Larry's the one doing all the talking.
just like with that pit bull that was 8 years of getting his ass kicked. Dude, imagine how this is what it is liberating.
So he's talking about, liberating. Think about choices, right? Cautionary tale. Understand the process itself that these trainers are marketing sets up that problem by way of a fake picture. Understand that. So this whole thing about choice and free will within the parameters of relationship problem, appearances. That's the trap. Understand that's the trap these trainers are in.
You don't need to fucking micromanage your dog. You don't need to. You don't need.
So talk about micromanage, right? So the spin they're putting here is like, well, what does that mean? If you watch my videos, it'll look very micromanaging like, okay, very much engagement, how I'm engaging in the middle of a relationship problem. But transfer this over, okay, to the parent example. When you're dealing with a selfish child and you as a parent are engaging a relationship problem through the authoritative parenting style, it's going to look very micromanaging, okay, at a certain point. It's a point. Understand, it's not forever. See, that's the thing. So the thing with, even this issue about appearances by way of, dog looking like they're being hammered or depressed, that's the transition part. Understand these trainers, instead of actually reconciling the core ingredients so that you come out of that the right way, okay, normalizing the dog, normalizing the relationship, changing perception the right way, they'll bring those themes in. Bribery, accommodation, negotiation. So now you get a dog that looks better, but it's not. Okay, understand control will offer up a false image of change. Understand that that's the trade-off here. That's the thing with when I talk about being able to work through a problem properly by way of the right process. These trainers, that's not what they're marketing here. So whenever they give a thing about micromanage, they speak certain terms, they're playing off of this superficial idea of things. You have to be able to work through it. You have to be able to move through it the right way. That's not what this is about here.
Need to count 2 seconds. Oh, I missed the window. Oh, like I can't even imagine all the energetic residue that's left in people's brains when they're trying to always stay in front of the problem when they just need to get the hell out of the way.
It's
let the dog do.
So listen,
get out of the way. It's like the parent, get out of the way. Let the child make the choices, right? So you have to be able to reconcile the roles themselves. What's your role? See, that's the problem here. Is this whole thing? This is the deceptive nature of appearances. Okay, trainers are not, and so you get into this whole blame shifting part. Actually, it's a very real thing. So these trainers on social media, they say whatever they want. See, that's the thing about accountability and the ability to be able to audit, line this stuff up. I mean, these trainers go in, these dogs are like, who knows how many dogs are getting the blame? Who knows how they define success? That's the thing here. Understand this is a state of the dog training world.
Here's the new thing. The new thing is to be, and I just had this conversation with a really cool TWC trainer the other day at my seminar. He's a certified TWC trainer. I had this cool conversation with him. I'm so grateful that I never stayed in and got certified. I am, because I think I could be more effective by pushing people to go that way.
We should have stayed in. I mean, the way he's talking. I mean, here's the thing: is he making money here off of marketing Ivan? Like that's the question I have. He just like plugs this Ivan Belnoff system all the way through. So you wonder if they don't have some sort of an agreement, because it's not normal to be plugging at this level. But again, you're dealing with, a confused, compromised, balanced dog trainer. Understand they're all jumping on each other's podcasts, right? But again, I get into play base. Go watch the videos I did on that.
When I'm not officially part of it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have nothing to gain by it.
I don't know.
And
does he?
I thought about the other day, because if I was so engrossed in it and certified in it, maybe it wouldn't have the same effect. But listen, I've pushed certain trainers for a long time, not myself. I've told people it never made sense to me to learn from anyone but the best out there.
Yep.
But yet you have people going to I had
There's so much virtue signaling here with these trainers.
someone jump on that post I made, my video, real nasty, because I commented on allowing Sean O'Shea to be part of the video. And
Now here we go. I guess the bourbon gets flowing, the trash talking gets going, because now he brings up about Sean O'Shea. So start to name slang people.
IACP, he's garbage. And if you think he's a good trainer,
Yes.
you know nothing about.
So saying Sean O'Shea's garbage. I don't talk that way. You know what I'm saying? I talk about the approaches, the problem information based. But here you have balanced dog trainers talking about people being garbage. I had Krohn a while back, I put in information, called me a douchebag, right, on social media with these other Christopher Clugston and a couple of these other, trainers aligning with them, right? And I'm like shaking my head thinking, well, you name calling people, you want to get personal that way. Well, based on what exactly? Can't answer any of the questions. I'll put up very specific questions as to what defines training. Krohn can't answer them. But see, this is what they resort to. This type of garbage, and people are garbage and stuff.
Training. And I got this guy saying he's the best around, the best out of anybody. I said, then you, my friend, are a complete idiot. Like a complete idiot. Because that is someone that has destroyed dogs for years, but more importantly, taught others how to destroy dogs.
So here, just make these blanket statements, destroying dogs, destroying dogs. Well, based on his superficial idea what training is. I'm not defending, like I said, I've done a couple of videos about, O'Shea, about Gelman's bonker controversy, O'Shea, his whole thing with, appearances, hand rubbing, dog exploding, triggering off. But there's so much confusion out there. So here's one trainer who's confused himself, compromised, confused, trying to, call out or label another trainer as garbage. That's so ridiculous. Like he has nothing to stand on. Understand, he has zero to stand on based on what he's marketing to even do this to other trainers.
So fuck you. Think about how many times you've heard me say someone's name out loud in a bad way. There's been very few people. I don't do it. I do it.
Now he's doing it.
When I know you're a piece of shit and causing more harm than good.
Again, based on what? I mean, see, that's the thing. Is like, what's he basing making statements like that on? On balance, on his statement about rewarding bad behavior for good behavior, being a purely positive, balanced dog trainer. I mean, I put up videos about, the confusion about him using a remote collar. How, again, being reactionary, just like this dog you see in a seminar, go watch that.
That's when I don't care. That's when I don't care. And a lot of people don't like that. I lost 150 followers on Instagram yesterday because of the rebuttal to the Antonio's video.
So you say lost 150, well, it's this whole thing about the shifting sands here of social media, these trainers themselves, right? It's all about personalities. I understand people are liking these people based on, oh, he's telling me what I want to hear, personality. Oh, I like Larry. Oh, what did he say? This whole shifting sands of losing people, gaining subscribers. Listen, I don't look at anything like the dog training world's completely upside down. This whole thing about social media, being a social media influencer, marketing this superficial idea. So these trainers talk about, losing people here, losing people there. That means nothing. Okay, the dog training world's a train wreck.
Think about how sick that is. I didn't say nothing bad. I wasn't harmful to anyone. I was respectful, but people don't like the truth. They don't
like the truth. What's the truth?
Don't like the truth. It's absolutely insane what we deal with in this.
Talk about his truth.
Very, very, very fragile egos, very fragile egos.
Well, and I think that it's important to realize that I don't care if I gain followers, if I gain friends. Is that Benny back in the?
That's Benny.
No, they all.
Why is Benny barking?
They all care about that. I mean, they wouldn't be up saying the things there on social media, they, it's all about, everyone wants to, deep down, everybody wants to be liked. I mean, I want to be liked. Everybody has this inherent, desire to be accepted and liked. They do, but I don't sacrifice that, or I don't align myself through this ideology to build off of that. These trainers do that. They're doing that. Understand that. So when I speak about, what the problem is, no one's going to like it. I still am content, and I do my thing, and I never look at, that's just how I live my life. It's not about that. I started, my whole thing with dog training started from asking those questions. It's based on my police back canine with Ruben, but I asked those at the beginning, a certain point. So it's just like, and it was just like, it is what it is, let the chips fall where they may. And ever since that point in time, if you go watch my videos from way back years ago, you're going to hear me saying the same exact thing, same exact process, exactly the same information. I've written books that go through all of it. And so I've been, a straight shooter from the beginning. But knowing it too, I was totally up against the 99% of dog trainers out there. There you have it. So I knew it wasn't about popular that way. I settled that and say, okay, well, it is what it is. If it's about dogs the right way, then it's going to be about dogs and people the right way. That's it. Not going to be about open this door up for a counterfeit picture. Is going to be saying certain things. So these trainers are they're playing the system. And this is a relational shell game they're playing.
Oh, that's my boy getting home with no shirt on. I'm sorry.
So we'll stop it here. Again, jumping this through some of the key points. We're like an hour in. Let's went like 3 hours. But we focus. You hear the trash talking and the going on. How about destroying dogs and all this stuff? Okay, based on what? Like explain. What do you mean by that? That's the thing. You get into the nuts and bolts of this stuff. This is where all falls to pieces with these trainers. So thanks for watching. Be putting on another part here soon.